Your winter and off-season spent rally driving in the snow and ice of Lapland help you out today?
Yeah, for sure it helped, and yeah, it was actually quite far away initially of the normal driving style that we're used in Formula One, and I had really fun actually playing around. It was really enjoyable.
Did anything that you'd learned over the winter on the ice come back to help you today in terms of trying to get those tyres turned on, trying to get the car pointing in the right direction?
For sure, it's really crucial in these conditions that you can get enough temperature quickly, and then you can have upper hand to other drivers. So for sure we've learned a lot from winter testing and even this year in some cold conditions, but it was pretty extreme today because of the way the tarmac is and how smooth it is.
It's just so cold here, and that must have made it extra tricky for you out there today.
Yeah, it is very tricky, but more than the coldness, it's the grip. Yesterday when I did a track walk, just feels like marble. So yeah, it's like driving on your kitchen at home. It's really, really hard, really slippery.
You've driven an F1 car on snow before, but you had chains that time. Would that have been useful for FP1? How hard was it out there?
Even in FP2, it's still very low grip, so yeah, it's a bit of a shame. But I think overall for us it was quite a positive day. I think the car was working quite well, so pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it looked like a positive day for you out there. Was the track rubbering in throughout the day, or was that sort of low level of grip pretty much the same throughout?
Well, it can't get any worse, basically. So at the start, FP1. But we're still miles off, it's still driving on ice. Yeah, worse than Portimao by far. But at the end of the day, it's the same for everyone, so we just have to adapt to it. I hope it's not going to rain, because then it will be like proper driving on ice. So maybe we have to switch to spikes or something on the tires. That would be quite interesting. But let's see.
So by the end of FP1, your GP2 pole lap was still quicker than you guys had gone, right? Tricky morning.
It was slippery, that's the least we can say. It's expected with the new tarmac. I suggested to the team that everyone involved in Formula One should get the rental car and go on track between the two sessions to get some dust out of the track, but yeah, it was slippery.
Tricky for everyone out there today, but in an AlphaTauri it didn't look too bad.
Yeah, I think we can say that, yeah. I must say this morning was quite shocking. I enjoyed it was really fun, but it felt more like rallycross rather than Formula One. But yeah, it does feel different than what we used to feel in general. So that was a pretty fun way to discover this track. I think the grip came up a little bit this afternoon, and also with the softer compound, but generally a lot slower and a lot more slippery than we expected. So I think we need to revise a bit what we want to do for quali and for the race with the car, a bit with all the simulation we ran, because we expect it to be quite a lot faster than that. Yeah.
Carlos, looked pretty tricky out there for everybody. Lots of people complaining about particularly the front right tyre. It just looked like a difficult day.
Yeah, strangest session I think I've done in my life, strangest Friday. You need to think that we were expecting here a 1:23, 1 minute 22 lap times, and this morning we were doing 1:45s. So you can imagine how difficult it was and how tricky it was. So very strange, but at the same time a good challenge for engineers, drivers, a different challenge that I'm ready to embrace and see what happens.
Out there, let's start at the start. FP1, wet track, cold track, slippery track.
Yeah, it was very extreme conditions. Just, as you said, some wet patches, but even on the dry patches, it was like the lowest grip I've ever felt in dry conditions. It was really crazy, but kind of cool as well to have that experience. And it's the same for everyone, so it's just a new challenge, I guess. And wouldn't want to have that at every track, but it's nice to have a bit of a different experience.
Did it get better throughout the day?
Yeah, it got better. There was some rubber being put down into the racing line, and it cleaned up. I think there was some dried mud on the whole of the track surface, and that got cleaned up in the racing line, and then some rubber came down, so it got better, but nowhere near what we usually have for grip.
How much is the absence of feeder categories sort of affecting things this weekend? Nobody else to put down any rubber when you're not out on track?
That's gonna, yeah. I mean, that's gonna affect it a lot. You know, usually they contribute a lot to the track evolution, and they're not here this weekend, so it's probably gonna be a very slippery race as well. So I think it's gonna make it difficult for racing, because overtaking you have to go offline and then try and brake and stop the car. Could be a chaotic race maybe.
This is it. When you do have to go offline, how difficult is it to get the thing slowed down?
Impossible. Some corners like turn 12, you know, at the end of the back straight, that corner there, if you lock up a little bit and miss your apex by a few meters, then you're driving on ice suddenly. So it's very tricky. You have to be very precise, and as I said, it's pretty interesting, really.
Even under the mask, I can see you're smiling.
Yeah.
Firstly, was it a good day, good birthday?
It was a fun day. It was drift school today. That was my birthday present, and it was my first day of drift school ever. So it was nice, tricky in a Formula 1 car. A lot of power, a lot of downforce, and big snaps. So most laps, you know, you're can't say that word.
Find another one.
Yeah, you're crapping yourself a bit, especially the high-speed turn 8 and so on. So it's tricky, but it was also a lot of fun. It's fun to kind of push the car and be on the limit like that all the time, but it's not so much you're on the limit, it's just trying to build tire temperature and so on, which is the difficulty of it, to kind of get the tires into the window, but once they're in the window, things feel a little bit better. It's just very difficult to do that in the first place. So yeah, we have to try and figure out what's the best plan for tomorrow in terms of laps put on a set of tires versus to build the tire temperature and not kind of take the life out of the tire. But I'm sure everyone's going to be thinking that and how to do it. So yeah, a bit of homework to do tonight, but not a bad first day.
Very tricky day out there for everybody, but a competitive day for Ferrari as well. Talk us through it.
Well, at first I was really not convinced by the grip of the track, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a very bad day. But after a few laps, I actually really enjoyed it. So yeah, it was actually very fun to have so much low grip. We need to understand why, though, to be honest, because yeah, it's probably not great to have a Friday like this. We don't learn much, but in terms of driving, it was very fun, and we have been very competitive too. Yeah, I don't think it will improve much during the weekend, so it's good that we have done quite a lot of mileage today to understand the conditions, and hopefully we can maximize the result tomorrow.
Back to Istanbul Park, and not an easy day. How hard were the conditions out there today?
Yeah, it was a bit of a disaster today, to be honest. I think I don't know. This track is such a fantastic circuit, and I really don't fully understand when they spend millions to redo a surface of a track. I know it had been sitting around for a long time, so they probably could have just cleaned it maybe instead of waste all the money. And now the track is it's worse than Portimao was when we had the brand new surface there, and so none of the tires, or for us at least, the tires aren't working, and you see it's like an ice rink out there, and so you don't get quite the enjoyment of the lap as you would normally get of Istanbul, and I don't see that changing.
You describe it as being like an ice rink. For those of us who are normal drivers and not used to having the reaction times of you guys, when our normal road car hits ice, it's terrifying because you're out of control. What's it like?
It's the same thing. It's just terrifying the whole way around. Just because it's almost like there's wet patches all over. So as you're on your slicks, you're accelerating, and then it goes so fast. And that's because basically you're way below the temperature window. These tires, they're so hard, and they work in a certain window. And so if you're 10 or 20 degrees below, then they're not working. If you're 20 degrees over, they're not working. So and for some reason this surface is so smooth. So there's a lot of the older circuits, they have like the surface here, for example, it's much more open between all the stones, so it works the tire more. As where this one, it's all just super closed and flat and shiny, and I guess there's oil, and the oil seeps from the tarmac, I guess, or whatever they put down. So it's the capital S.